Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and the next expansion of Midnight is going through a bunch of new changes to our classes, to some of the raids, the content, as well as to numerous systems that we're so familiar with. One of those systems being gearing in the next expansion, as they're looking to make some actual huge strides to try to streamline the process a lot more, changing some of the currencies that we use to upgrade our items, giving us new avenues to be able to upgrade gear. Anyone, for those of you that aren't really like end game oriented but love collecting mugs, they also want to give players an opportunity for you to be able to collect some of your favorite sets, especially with some of those elusive higher tier versions of those sets that many Delph players, for instance, just can't really get their hands on until midnight. So for today's video, I want to go over exactly all of the different gearing changes that are planned for midnight in the alpha. Everything we talk about here, numbers-wise, everything is still subject to change. We're going to see how this whole system evolves throughout the beta, as they are still laying down the groundwork for now on the alpha. With that being said, as always, if you guys want to keep up with regular updates regarding Midnight, go ahead and follow the channel and subscribe. But otherwise, let's dive right in. So one of the biggest changes coming to Midnight that a lot of players are excited for is a change to some of the different currencies, as we're actually losing one of those gearing currencies, primarily being Valor Stones within Midnight. And out of all the things that we're losing in Midnight, losing Valor Stones is probably one of the best things that they could have done, as this comes with a numerous number of benefits. Like, Valor Stones are not necessarily an issue when you're gearing up a main character within, for instance, like in Season 3. Brand new season, you got a brand new raid, a bunch of new dungeons, new Delph content, so you're trying to get, new champion track, hero track, and mythic track gear. You're going to be naturally spending a lot of time playing on your main character and gathering a lot of Valor Stones automatically. So they're not really an issue on the first character that you start gearing and playing. They're just rewarded, like the more you play the game, the more Valor Stones you're going to be able to earn. The issue does come up when you try to play alts, because Valor Stones don't necessarily have like a great easy way for you to acquire them. You don't necessarily farm them from any like cheesy content. They're not thrown like in huge chunks at you where they're just like a useless currency. You need to spend a considerable bit of time actually playing a variety of different activities within the game. It's your choice what you want to do, but you still do need to invest quite a decent bit of time on your alts to get those Valor Stones. And right now in Turbo Boost, you can transfer them across multiple characters, but that's not an availability at the very beginning of a new season, generally speaking. So it comes down to you having to play that alt, just spending more time on that character, doing just anything to get more Valor Stones. But you've just spent a lot of your time on your main character, gearing them up, and you kind of want to skip a lot of that gearing grind on your alts to just jump into more content. You may have the crest in order to be able to upgrade all of your loot, but there's a good chance that you'll be behind on Valor Stones, which was just never truly ideal. So removal of Valor Stones is a nice step forward towards letting players focus on gearing however they want to. So if you have some kind of like a pathway to get yourself more crests, whether it is through Delph content or possibly in Midnight Prey content, which is even more open world activities, dungeons or raiding, you will still have an opportunity for you to be able to gather those crests in order to upgrade your gear. You just don't have to do additional menial tasks like weekly events, which you'll still probably want to do for other reasons, but you won't have to go out of your way to do additional content. Open world content, instance content, whatever it is, just to get more Valor Stones. So you'll hopefully end up spending more time doing the content that you like rather than the filler content, just so you can finally properly gear up your alts. Now, Midnight is also going to be changing how crests function, and there's a lot of different crests that you'll be able to, or you probably would have been collecting so far in War Within, from Weather Crest, Carved, Ruined, Gilded, and like a brand new player, it's hard to tell exactly which crest is used for which item. There is a tooltip that you can read for all these different like potential item level upgrades and what are some of the different content that may reward you with these crests, but it is never really straightforward, so they're streamlining the process a little bit. And they're actually renaming a lot of these crests after the different types of gear that we have. And the types of crests we're going to be able to get in Midnight are going to be like Adventurer crests, which allow you to upgrade Adventurer gear. And they'll be specifically marked for gear that's marked Adventurer track. Then you have Veteran crest for Veteran track gear, Champion crest for Champion gear, Hero crest for Hero gear, and Myth crest for Mythic items, which is going to be super nice. There's also doing things like increasing the maximum number of crests that you can get a week. There's always an argument for players, like at the start of a season, should there be a cap on crests? And for some players, it's nice to have a cap on crest because you can just, cap out your crest for the week and then you're done on that character. It gives you an opportunity to go play your ults. While other players don't really like that and they would rather just get all the grinding for like at least get all the crests farmed out week 1 so they never have to do any again for the rest of the season. They're also changing the way that you upgrade your gear quite a decent bit though. Like, let's say you have a champion track boots, for instance. They're actually changing the way that this system works. So instead of having a champion track be capped out at 8 out of 8, they're actually going to have it lowered to 6. You'll still be able to get the item levels as if you upgraded to 8 out of 8, but you're just going to be able to get it a little bit faster. Now, every time you upgrade an item, a lot of the times, for me right now, it doesn't cost anything because of like catch-ups and stuff on watermark levels, but right now my warband has a bunch of catch-ups when it comes to upgrading gear, but without it, normally upgrading these boots would cost me some valor stones and about 15 crests, or 15 relevant crests, specifically being the carved crests. So this will be like the champion tier crests, and every single one of these upgrades will cost 15, 15, 15, 15. But they're changing the way that the upgrade system is going to work in terms of the cost of crests. Since we no longer have valor stones to add into the cost to upgrade, we're only going to be using crests instead. They're actually having it so the number of crests you need to upgrade an item scales with its like rank. So the higher rank you want to put a piece of gear, the more crests you got to invest. So like, let's say you want to take an item from rank 1 to a rank 2. It's going to take you like 10 champion crests. That's not that bad. Going from a rank 2 to rank 3 is going to take you 20. So that's going to be overall together a bump of 30. Going from 3 to a 4, it's going to take you 30. Going from a 4 to a 5 is going to take you 40. Then from a 5 to a 6 is going to take you 50. So altogether, you are actually having to commit quite a decent bit of overall crests just to get an item, a single piece, to the highest possible ranks available. And I'll have a chart on the screen to show you more or less what it looks like, but it's way different than what we have right now. I won't say the system is necessarily better, but it is at least different. There will be an alternative for like that final rank that you want to upgrade an item. Like when you want to go from a rank 5 to a rank 6 potentially, you could either spend the crest that you've been farming, so like champion crest for a champion piece, but if you have like hero track pieces or hero track crests, you can just spend 10 of those in order to bump up that item level just a little bit higher. And what this does is it gives you a bit of a trade-off and allows you to do a number of things. So let's say you're like a delve player who just gets a bunch of hero track items, and delve players don't really get a lot of mythic track gear. But let's say you just have a hero track gear and you're more of a hero track player. You do a bunch of heroic type content in the game and you're not necessarily interested in mythic track items or mythic content, but you still want to get better gear. So you'll be able to use hero crests in order to fully upgrade your item. Where right now in War Within, you actually have to do a mix of like hero track content and mythic track content to fully take that hero item all the way to the highest level, which is why delve players are kind of stuck when it comes to upgrading the pieces at least early into a season. But this change does allow you, even if you're someone who doesn't do a lot of mythic content, to take your hero track pieces and upgrade them to the highest possible ranks within your self-contained hero track content, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And at the same time, it encourages players to also do higher tier or more difficult content because it allows them to save on the amount of crests they can spend to upgrade some of those tail end items towards that final rank. So it's not necessarily a better system, but it is a much different system that a lot of players are going to have to take some time to get used to. Another gearing system that is going to go through changes like crest, but it won't be as confusing, is actually the crafting system. And what instead they're doing for the crafting component side of things is making it more streamlined to make it a little bit easier to play into. Crafting, you'll be able to essentially earn sparks a little bit differently. Normally you get like fragments of sparks and then you're going to combine it together with a little bit of valor stones in order to be able to actually make a spark. Instead, in War Within, you will be able to earn sparks directly from a quest, so you skip on a whole stage of progress instead specifically. So that's going to be really, really nice. And they're also changing the quality ranks of some of these different items you're going to need to craft gear to no longer be like rank 1, 2, and 3. A lot of the base mats for crafting are just going to have a rank 1, which is like the poor quality, and rank 2, which is the high quality. So instead of having 3 different qualities with an auction house with fluctuating prices, you just have 2: low quality and high quality. So hopefully it'll make it a little bit easier for players to manage which items they need from the auction house, just seeing, comparing the prices. And there's also an opportunity for people that aren't into professions to convert lower quality items into higher quality, maybe possibly lowering down their prices. But in general, the changes to some of the different sparks, as well as some of the different crafting components, it should make it a little bit easier for you to parse the auction house to find which items you need in order to craft some of the best crafted gear heading into midnight, which I think the work order system and the auction house system sorely needed for quite a while. Another gearing change we have to look forward to is actually more opportunities for you to collect even more loot from the next expansion and the following seasons of that expansion, since outside of just raids and dungeons and Dale content, we're also getting the new Prey system. And Prey is kind of like an addition to open world content for those types of players. So it's in the way supposed to be kind of like someone that you would do as someone who does a lot of delves, for instance. The Prey is like an expansion on your type of activity that you want to do. Solo player content, maybe a little bit more relaxed content that's not super high-end, sweaty Mythic Plus dungeons, that incorporates the open world in a more meaningful of a way. And that whole system has its own set of rewards, both cosmetic as well as like endgame gearing rewards as well. It's also going to be part of the tracks when it comes to your endgame gear on the same row as Delves, because Delves sells Delves or world activities, so it's going to be Delves, Prey, or other world activities. So all of those things are going to help fill out your Great Vault as well. So that'll be one, a new source of gear that you'll be able to collect, but two, an opportunity for you to even fill out your vault even further with some of the more, what looks like unique items and unique drops that will come from Prey specifically. At least based on some of the data mining and some of the items, there's a lot of gear that's marked for Prey specifically. Maybe part of it is just for cosmetic side of things, but it does seem like there's at least a decent number of gear that is right now dedicated to come from Prey specifically. However, gearing out your character in some of the best looking pieces available and some of the newest sets coming out in Midnight is only part of the equation. Some players don't really play the game for specifically the highest item level, but rather to collect all of the different appearances all at once. And there's some major updates for that as well, for those of you that are just looking to farm mogs over necessarily trying to gear out all of your tunes. As players will be able to have an opportunity to gain the next tier of appearances after fully upgrading an item to its highest rank. So let's say you have like, I know we're going to have some new sets available in Midnight, but let's say more within right now, if you have the Shroud of Sudden Eclipse, the Rogue set, and you have the Heroic version. Once you unlock the entire thing and you've upgraded all those pieces to 6 out of 6, the highest ranks available, even if you're someone who doesn't do Mythic rating, you'll still be able to unlock the Mythic version of that set. For putting the time in to fully upgrade all of your gear, it will be able to upgrade the appearance of those pieces and allow you to unlock a version or variation of those appearances after the item is fully upgraded. And this will function for any pieces that are raid class pieces from the raid itself, or potentially raid weapons. Once those upgraded to 6 out of 6, you'll be able to unlock a new variant of those that is of one higher level than what you currently have. So if you have like a normal raid set, you'll unlock the Heroic Recolor. If you have the Heroic raid set, you'll be able to unlock the Mythic Recolor without necessarily having to dive into that type of content specifically, which is going to be a fantastic upgrade for the transmog communities as part of some of the Midnight updates. But with that being said, as always, I do want to thank all of you guys so much for watching and hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did enjoy it or found it informative, go ahead and give the video a like, as I would very much appreciate it. Also be sure to join our Discord community, especially if you just want to keep up with anything new regarding Midnight Alpha, which should hopefully be going into beta testing sometime soon. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, I'll see all of you guys in our next one.